I'm Francesca Maxime.
And I'm Matt McClure, and this is Currents.
There's 40 days of Lent and 40 days of life. We'll show you what it's all about.
We know of 34,000 babies that were saved as a direct result.
Heritage and history come alive at a parish in Queens.
Everybody can be encouraged by the triumphs and the achievements of people of African descent, especially our Catholic brothers and sisters.
And we'll meet a couple that knows the meaning of lifetime commitment.
Boy, he looks at you like he adores you. And that made me feel so good.
Well, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. It has been called Abortion Row, a stretch of Jackson Heights, Queens, with a dozen abortion clinics all clustered within a 2-mile radius. And this past Wednesday, Ash Wednesday, it became the starting point for a 40-day pro-life event, what supporters are calling a public witness for the unborn.
And that public witness, dubbed 40 Days for Life, is sponsored by the group Expectant Mother Care. This week, members of that group took to the streets of Queens, reaching out to the largely Hispanic population of the neighborhood with pamphlets, protest, and prayer.
We are in a very, very Hispanic area in Jackson Heights. The surrounding areas of Corona and Woodside, Elmhurst, etc., there are 12 abortion offices. We today will be out in front of 2 abortion offices here on Roosevelt Avenue in the heart of what we call Abortion Row. And the reason that we chose this site is on either side of a Dunkin' Donuts, there are 2 abortion offices side by side on the 2nd floor.
And right now we're doing 40 Days for Life, which is a prayer vigil and fasting for 40 days. We also do community outreach. We're handing out information, trying to get the word out, and trying to raise awareness for what's going on in America.
These women probably were born in Central or South America or Mexico. They have not been educated the way many people here have. What we're also doing in terms of outreach is reaching out to the pastors in this area, primarily to the Catholic pastors. There are about a dozen churches in this general area that have heavy Hispanic parishioner levels. In the 25 years since Chris Slattery opened this organization, we have seen over 100,000 women, and we know of 34,000 babies that were saved as a direct result of Expectant Mother Care's work. We're giving free ultrasounds to women. We show them what's happening, and then we offer them all kinds of free services to help them make the decision to have their baby.
This is my friend Claudia Curipalo, and she came into my office one day a few months back, and we have been taking care of her pregnancy ever since. She's giving birth anytime soon, maybe this week. Her situation was very difficult, and she didn't know where to turn to, and she needed material help. That's mostly what she needed. So we provided all the things she needs for the baby and for her.
As far as choice, if it's going to be a real choice, then she needs to have all of the information involved, everything, so she can make an educated choice. Because if she doesn't know everything, if she doesn't know the risks and complications involved, is she really making a choice, or is she just taking what society gives her? There's a lot of options and a lot of people willing to help. So.
And you can find out more about Expectant Mother Care and the work they do on our blog. CurrentsNY.net is the website. Go there and click on Riding the Wave.
Well, stay with us when we return. Tiger Woods' dramatic televised confession. We have that story and more headlines of the day straight ahead.
Welcome back to Currents. I'm Matt McClure.
And I'm Francesca Maxime. Coming up just a bit later, happily ever after. Well, it's much more than just a fairy tale. We will meet a couple that is living proof.
All right, but first, let's have a look at the day's headlines. Well, for the first time since news broke about his extramarital affairs, golfer Tiger Woods spoke publicly today. In front of a small crowd of family, friends, and media, Woods apologized for his moral failings.
Many of you in this room are my friends. many in this room know me. Many of you have cheered for me, or you worked with me, or you supported me. Now, every one of you has good reason to be critical of me. I want to say to each of you, simply and directly, I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in.
Woods added that he is in therapy. He said it's hard to admit he needs help and that he has a long way to go. Well, October 17th is the day Australia will get its first saint. The Vatican announced it will canonize the founder and director of the Congregation of the Sisters of St. Joseph, Mother Mary MacKillop, along with 5 others. We get more on that from Rome Reports.
The road to sainthood has been particularly long for Blessed Mary MacKillop, who will be Australia's first saint.
It has been a long journey. The cause was introduced 85 years ago, so it's been a long journey, and it was interrupted in the 1930s until 1951. And so from 1951 till the present day, it's been another almost 60 years. So it's the culmination of a lot of work from a lot of people.
Last year, theologians and doctors agreed that a woman with untreatable cancer was cured through the intercession of Mary MacKillop.
She is particularly good with women who cannot have children, and we have hundreds of what they call Mary MacKillop babies. Now, whether Mary is responsible for them getting pregnant, she might have a little part in it, but we know human nature is the big part in it. But yes.
Blessed MacKillop is revered by Australians as a national figure. Born to Scottish immigrants in 1842, she spent her life working to help Australia's sick and elderly communities and provided education to poor children. Like MacKillop, Blessed Brother Andre of Canada also spent much of his life helping the sick and needy. He was a Holy Cross brother and invited the sick to pray to St. Joseph. He was known for rubbing sick people with oil from a lamp in the college chapel. Soon after, people reported their prayers were answered. He would visit the sick and traveled as far as the United States. Many called him a miracle worker, but he denied that he had that gift. Blessed Andre and Blessed MacKillop are seen as 2 models for living in the 21st century.
I believe the Pope wants people to understand that they are having models of Christian living, and Mary MacKillop and the other candidates for canonisation will be models for the rest of us of how we could live our Christian life and become holy people.
2 holy people who will now have a spot saved on the altar.
Well, as the number of saints grows, so does the number of Catholics in the U.S. The latest data indicates Catholic Church membership increased by 1.5% to more than 68 million. That is according to the Yearbook of American and Canadian Churches, released by the National Council of Churches. Mormons saw the biggest percentage increases, 1.7%.
The Archdiocese of Washington announced that it has ended its foster care and adoption programs. The decision comes in the wake of Washington, D.C.'s legalization of same-sex marriage. The new law would have required Catholic charities there to allow gay couples to adopt and care for foster children. The Washington Archdiocese is the 3rd in the U.S. to drop adoption services following the legalization of gay marriage. Meanwhile, a new study suggests children of gay couples are more likely to attempt suicide. The study from a professor at the University of South Carolina shows children adopted by same-sex couples display greater levels of stress and suffer from suicidal tendencies and attempts. The findings were presented at a symposium in Mexico organized by the Mexican Institute on Sexual Orientation. And finally, from the pulpit to the fighting ring, a minister in Tennessee is taking preaching to another level. Harley Gordon reports.
You can find him in the ring, gloved hands clenched into fists, or here on the pulpit, Bible in hand. It sounds like a strange combo, ultimate fighting and Christianity. But for Clarksville pastor John Rankin, the 2 go together like Adam and Eve.
I do believe Jesus Christ was the ultimate fighter.
Since 2004, Rankin has been using the gospel to inspire his fighters.
For every fight we pray.
And fighting to spread the word of the gospel.
Regardless of, whatever sermon's being preached that week, and, on a regular basis, that's used as an analogy.
It happens here at a building that doubles as a gym and church. It's where, quote, feet, fists, and faith collide.
We have to train hard, and we have to do the things that the Bible asks of us to do, which are similar to the things that are asked of an athlete.
Rankin is now known as the fighting preacher, and his message is spreading fast.
There's probably about 700 churches that are doing roughly the same thing we are in one way or another.
But the feedback on Rankin's, quote, fight for Jesus hasn't been all positive. This month, Rankin interviewed with the New York Times and several national TV news networks. Some crying controversy, others accusing Rankin of targeting specific groups.
The national media has taken some slants on it that I don't agree with. Our intention is just to be missional. It's just another outlet to reach people with the gospel.
Well, it's nice to know I'm not the only fighter in the ring there,
Yeah, no, you have some competition.
I do, but I think I would probably, the outcome would be no different than it was last week when I did the wrestling piece. He would probably, I'd probably be on the floor after that.
Yeah, you're not the victor in this battle.
No, not at all.
All right, stay tuned. There's much more currents coming up.
Just ahead, a Black History Month Mass that looks back and forward.
Even though people of African descent were enslaved in this part of the world, through the power of God, they were able to overcome their difficulties.
Welcome back to Currents. Well, as we know, New York is the city of immigrants. It's very, very true. And all this month, one of the most vibrant groups of immigrants and their descendants are celebrating their history and their heritage.
For Black History Month, the Vicariate of Black Catholic Concerns organized a special mass out in Cambria Heights, Queens, complete with liturgical dance. Take a look.
Can't do it. That's the whole point, because Jesus did it for you.
The reason we're here is to celebrate Black History Month, and because we are many people from one nation. Sacred Heart was chosen to represent.
And today, we're taking a pause to acknowledge the black culture in the church, to celebrate it, and to use it as a leaven to build the kingdom of God in the Diocese of Brooklyn and Queens.
Everybody can be encouraged by the triumphs and the achievements of people of African descent, especially our Catholic brothers and sisters.
Well, what is this Black History Month? We just go around congratulating ourselves. We talk about Harriet Tubman, and we talk about Frederick Douglass, and we pat ourselves on the back and say, we've overcome, and everybody look at us. That's part of it.
It's not just a celebration of the achievements of African Americans. Because we are globally involved, it is now the celebration of all peoples.
We're scientists, we're priests, we're engineers, we're presidents now. In the past, we had 3 popes of African descent, and that story needs to get out. In the last 20, 30 years, we've seen about anywhere from 13 to almost 20 black bishops in the country. Right here, for the first time, we finally received an African-American bishop and Bishop Sansarique.
There's so much richness in, African history. And, when you talk about African Americans, you're not only speaking about people in the United States. You're speaking about people in Central America, people in the Caribbean, people in South America. And I think it's important to be reminded that even though people of African descent were enslaved in this part of the world, through the power of God, they were able to overcome their difficulties.
Well, I think it's always important to celebrate every day of the year, because if we do not know from whence we've come, we really don't know in which direction we're headed.
When it's not highlighted, you'll still have black children to this day who say they don't know who Dr. King is. You'll have children of other cultures who actually can use a racial epithet in the classroom.
When you look at any people, if you think about the Jewish people who suffered in the Holocaust and the people who survived it, and you hear their story, you're encouraged to face your own struggles and your difficulties, through prayer.
As Father Patterson said magnificently in his homily, we have come a mighty long way, but we have not yet fully arrived as a society and as a black diaspora in terms of making sure very serious mistakes are not made about race and culture in the church and in the society.
It started out as Negro History Week, then it became, Black History Week, and then it became Black History Month. Who knows where it will go from there? But I think it's very important for us to celebrate how people have overcome their struggles through the power of God.
Well, stay with us. There's much more current straight ahead. When we return, what's the secret to a long marriage? You'll meet two people who know.
At 20, I said to myself, what am I doing? Am I crazy? But thank God, it turned out so good.
Finally tonight, well, we celebrated Valentine's Day last weekend, right? But love is always a timely topic, and it never really goes out of season.
Absolutely not. Never. Especially for the couple you're about to meet, who, as a matter of fact, have shared over 200 seasons together.
Wow.
Our Natalia Ortiz is here with more. Natalia?
Wow, Matt, thank you so much. That's a lot of seasons.
Right.
At a time when so many marriages don't last, I can't tell you what an inspiration it was to meet a couple whose marriage has lasted and lasted and lasted. They are Mary and Paul Pagliaro, and they've spent over 6 decades together as husband and wife.
Do you remember when we were in the beginning in high school? Everybody used to say to me, boy, he looks at you like he adores you. And that made me feel so good.
Mary and Paul have been married so long, St. Patrick's Cathedral invited them to a special mass held Sunday in honor of New York City's longest married couples. That day was also their 65th wedding anniversary. But no matter how much time has gone by, they say they're just as in love now as they were during their young days in Brooklyn.
I was very attracted to him because he had this big bushy hair, which was unusual. And my mother adored him because he walked his grandmother to church every Sunday morning.
But no matter how big the crush, Mary did have one complaint.
I didn't like it when you called me a blimp. I was only 140 pounds.
No, but I said pleasingly plump.
Oh, yeah.
That was my...
Pleasingly plump.
The joke stopped, though, once Paul was drafted into the military.
Pearl Harbor was attacked on December 7th. What year was it?
41.
41. And right after high school, all the 18-year-olds were drafted to go. And it was a drastic change in our lives.
But not all the changes were bad. It was the war that gave Paul an excuse to pop the question.
The way I remember it, you got home and I asked you, how did you get home? How did you manage a 24-hour pass? And then you told me. I told him I'm getting married. And I said, you're going to be in deep trouble when you get back. And he said, aren't we getting married?
And that's just what they did on a snowy, slushy Valentine's Day in 1945, at the very same church where they were honored this Sunday. Once Paul came back from the war, they adopted their children Michael and Amy, and even their family agrees these two are a match made in, well, Brooklyn.
Well, my nephew Anthony always says that we're the best couple he's ever known.
So what's the secret of such a long and happy marriage?
Communicate. Say what you feel. Don't harbor hard feelings. Just say what you feel and communicate everything. And if you could possibly laugh at something, and especially at yourself, it's great.
When it comes to humor, they're not joking.
I never thought that arguing or being mad at someone accomplished anything. So I either let it go over my shoulder and forget about it.
I thought it was over your head.
But whatever their secret is, this couple is an inspiration to everyone they meet. And though even they had their doubts at the beginning, they can proudly say they made it.
Of course, at 20, I said to myself, what am I doing? Am I crazy? But thank God, it turned out so good.
I really can't tell you enough how much of an inspiration they were, really. I mean, they were adorable.
That's amazing. 65 years.
That is a really long time. I know, I think my grandparents were married for 63, so that was the record in my life.
Yeah.
But,
Now Broke has seen somebody break the record.
Other good Italians.
And they were so happy to be able to share their story. One of the things, their daughter, she actually wrote me an email today, right now, and she said, thank you so much for coming, because one of the things my mother was saying is that everyone forgets old people. And so for them to be able to share their story, they were young too one day.
And they're such exactly. And I know when I went to that marriage day dinner and dance around Valentine's Day a couple weeks ago, it was nice too, because I left it feeling as inspired as I'm sure you did. Like, this is possible. People really can love each other over the test of time. It doesn't not exist in today's day and age.
Oh yeah, it's very encouraging for the younger people.
It's so cool. I mean, and my parents have been married like 40 years now, which is amazing to me, because we've talked about so much. Yes,
really.
But I mean, we talked about so much. You know, I mean, there are statistics that the divorce rate is down just a little bit now, but it's still very high. So many marriages end in divorce, so it's so nice to see people who have really stood the test of time.
And communication and all these really fundamental things. And there are tools out there to help. I mean, you don't just expect love to carry you through all the hard times. I mean, there are some good tools that are out there that can help you get through all it.
Yeah, and they recognize that they get annoyed with each other sometimes, and the regular stuff that everyone goes through.
Life happens.
Exactly. It's not like they have this perfect life. I mean, they've struggled, but they've stuck through it.
Yeah.
So
Well, very good. Thank you so much, Natalia.
Thank you.
Well, that's it for this edition of Currents. And remember, you don't need a TV to watch us. You can always catch Currents online. Reel us in, will you, at currentsny.net.
You can also follow us on Twitter, and you can be a fan on our Facebook page. Just look up Currents. Until next time, for Natalia Ortiz and all of us here at Currents, I'm Francesca Maxime.
And I'm Matt McClure. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great night and a great weekend.